welcome. We are so excited to have you here and very excited for you to hear from our amazing panelists for today's discussion. We are going to just get right into introducing them because they are all incredible. We're going to be talking today from likes to revenue, how to identify creators who actually drive sales. And I know you're going to gain so much from this. So, we're going to start with Ethan Kramer. Hi, Ethan. Ethan is a social commerce and digital growth operator specializing in scaling brands through modern acquisition, creator partnerships, and emerging commerce channels. As the founder and former CEO of EK Creative, he built one of the first US social commerce agencies before its acquisition. He is recognized as a pioneer in TikTok Shop, live shopping, and creator-led commerce, having helped generate over 50 million in TikTok Shop GMV and 100 million in live shopping revenue. Thank you and welcome, Ethan.
Yeah, excited to be here. Thank you.
Madeline Tague, we are so excited to introduce her. She is a food blogger and recipe developer based just outside of Philadelphia. She shares simple, comforting recipes designed for the whole family with over 400,000 followers on Instagram alone. Madeline's mission is to empower individuals to feel confident in their home kitchens. So, welcome, Madeline.
Thanks, Candace.
Anouck Gotlib, we are excited to introduce you as well. CEO of Belgian Boys is on a mission to create whole ingredient foods with a European twist so families can prep less, smile more, and indulge better. Belgian Boys is the business of fun. In the business of fun, offering their delicious products in 12,000 retailers such as Costco, Target, Walmart, Kroger. She leads a passionate team dedicated to growing more than just a revenue driven business, creating joy for customers and spreading sweetness in people's lives. So, welcome, Anouck.
Thank you for having me.
We are so excited to have all of you. And Abby's going to dive into our very first question for the panel.
Yeah, thanks for all of those introductions. First of all, I just want to say this is a really important topic because we have quite a few conversations with brands. As we know, creator commerce and creator marketing is shifting a lot right now, especially with brands. And like, I think the biggest thing is to talk about how we got here. So, a lot of the things even we've taught at Tastemaker in the last few years, would say that it's an outdated conversion strategy. The vanity metrics that were a thing of the past. There's a lot more resources available to talk about these topics. And so relying on vanity metrics alone is no longer a viable influencer marketing strategy. So the 5 things we're going to cover are conversion signals. So we're talking about things like clicks, saves, cart ads, affiliate sales, which everybody here has a different point of view too. Like we have the creator point of view, the industry expert, and then the brand CEO point of view. And I think that's really interesting to be able to get everybody's points of view as we're talking through these things. The second thing then is the content quality. Does it sell or does it entertain? I think that is an interesting part of this conversation of certain creators are really, really great at entertaining people, but they're not so great at sales and understanding how to look for that. Audience intent, right? It goes into that. Are followers actual buyers? That could be a very different thing depending on what type of creator you are working with. And then consistency, repeat performance. And then number 5 is when you have a strong brand aesthetic and personality, how do you balance that with still selecting creators that can reach a variety of audiences? So, Ethan, this is where you come in, and we would love to get your perspective about let's start from the ground here and talk about what's actually counting as performance in 2026. So, fun story about how Ethan came to be. And Shandace and I were at SOCOM, the new social commerce conference. It was in LA, and Ethan was on the stage, and I loved what you had to say, Ethan, and your energy and just talking about this industry. You seem to have so much knowledge to share. And I think the big takeaway that I learned from that these social commerce experts are in the room talking about is being able to track the attribution and the performance and how that looks so different. So would love to hear your thoughts on what is counting as performance nowadays.
Yeah, definitely. So, I think with platforms like TikTok Shop, right, and the rise of closed loop, you're able to get so much more data than previously you could, and it's less murky as well. So on TikTok Shop, what we really love to look at a first and foremost thing is, when you send the creator the sample, are they going to post? What's their sample to post ratio, right? Because a lot of times the brand I think people underestimate how much those cogs can add up. So post rate is really important, and then how many videos they're going to post is key, because that's ultimately going to be an indicator of if they're going to drive performance, right? And then further down the funnel, like from an advertising standpoint and from more of a strategy perspective, we like to look at like those hook rates, right? Like how many people are watching within the first 3, 6, 12 seconds. And then ultimately the number one KPI is going to be revenue generated. And you're going to be able to see very specifically the GMV for the creators that you're reaching out to. How much have they generated for other brands? And that's a really good metric at more of like a top line, right? But then you want to kind of click into that and you want to see, all right, is that coming from multiple videos? Is that coming from multiple brands? Did they get lucky and have one viral hit? Or are they really like consistent, right? Like they're able to sell different brands and they're able to do it across different videos. What's their GMV performance over 30, 60, 90, 120 days? How is it trending? So those are really the key metrics that we're looking at. And then, to kind of even get further there, right? Like GMV per video, as these creators have more like historical GMV is another metric that our team is really, really looking at. And that's what we're looking at internally as well. So TikTok Shop has just made it so much more specific. On Instagram, it's very similar, but there's less specific data in terms of GMV. So we like to look at obviously click-through rates, hook rates, and then depending on your tracking performance back with tools like Social Snowball, obviously UTMs is a classic way to do this, right? We want to see if we can attribute revenue directly to those videos inside of a dashboard, either Shopify or Google Analytics or a third-party software tool.
So, question for you around this, like the GMV conversation. As I understand that means like your gross merchandise value. So like that is determined on like the gross amount. That's not accounting for like the taxes and the cuts and like the net profit there. So I'm just curious from like a brand perspective, like is that the number one metric they're going by, or like are you wanting to create your
That's
campaigns based off of like profit margin too?
Yeah, so when we are judging internal success, we're looking
Mhm.
more at the profitability for the affiliate system.
Okay.
When we're judging individual creators, we're looking more at how much GMV they've generated overall. Because first and foremost, we want to know, can these creators sell?
Yeah.
That's sort of a different question than, is this program profitable for the brand? So to
Okay.
answer that question, what we do is we set up P&L trackers that go through like all those different things that you mentioned, right?
Mhm.
Obviously GMV, but then cost of goods, net profit, affiliate performance, and then how much, like I think a big thing is also how much of this is supported by ads or not,
Yeah.
because you probably, we recommend having different commission rates for those affiliates based off of ad spend or organic performance, because obviously if you're paying, an acquisition cost and an affiliate commission, you can run
Mhm.
into the wall very quickly. And
Yeah.
so, if your maybe organic affiliate commission is like 20%, we recommend your TikTok shop specific like ad supported commission be closer to like 5 to 10%. And then on Instagram, what we typically do there is we actually pay them a percentage of the ad spend on the video. So it's like 1 to 3%, which you can track pretty easily. And why we like that metric is because if the video is performing well for us, we're going to spend more on
Yeah.
it. And the attribution on Instagram can get a little murky as well, right? So we don't want to pay them just based off attributed, revenue on Instagram, because sometimes that might not be accurate.
Yeah. I have an off script question for you because it sounds like a lot of your knowledge is very much like TikTok shop based, but like even with the new announcement with Instagram and Meta making Instagram having more, direct clickable reels and really trying, I think, to be a competitor to a TikTok shop. It seems like they're trying to catch up. Like, do you see platform differences in terms of just their reliability in terms of measurement and data and what they can do?
Yeah, definitely. I think that Instagram's been a bit more cautious in their approach and doesn't want to rock the boat too much on their current ads business.
Hmm.
Whereas TikTok kind of went full steam ahead
Yeah.
into really more of a commerce engine. And even on the Instagram affiliate stuff, what we've seen most recently is, it's not closed loop right now. There's more functionality, but a lot of it actually just supports a better advertising experience. like product tags, right? And some obviously tracking of I think more like pure affiliate plays. But we haven't seen it come in and be the disruptor to TikTok Shop that I think some people thought it might be, at least just yet. I think it's definitely something they're working on. But it hasn't been something that we've seen fully take off right now.
Okay. Um, Give us a case, like a mini case study of something like where you've seen this work well. Like we have your Easy Bomb experience. This is
Yeah.
a case study here. Tell us about that.
Yeah, of course. So across the board, I think like we have seen that when clients are sending samples and they're sending them to what I would call like mid-tier creators, it tends to be when they have the best ROI on the program. So followers, just to give a vanity metric, like 100 to 100K, they've generated, at least $1,000 in GMV on the platform, but they're not one of the top 100 grossing TikTok Shop clients, right? And with Easy Bomb specifically, we have good margins on the products. We were able to sample at a pretty high volume, and we knew that part of the strategy there was to create momentum, create ad content, create velocity to scale into retail. So we were pretty aggressive. I think over a 9-month period, we sent around 10,000 samples out for them. But what's interesting is, I think like 40% of that revenue actually came from that, 10K to 100K, like mid-tier following count, right? And we'd send samples to people with millions of followers who had posted, but that was really the sweet spot, across the board.
We love the micro influencer.
Definitely. Definitely. What I like about those influencers too is then they scale with your company as well. And so they're people that you can really develop true relationships with, as opposed to really being a business with some of these larger creators, right? Like everything is a negotiation, right? They have a lot of different proposals that they're managing. We like these sweet spot people that we feel like we can connect with as a brand, bring them into our community and scale with them.
So I think that dovetails into like my final question for you is and that's something we have a lot of conversations with, even historically, of like you're building a relationship and trust, which is anything in any business. I don't care who you are. Like that I think that's important first and foremost. And so that being said, like say you take this micro creator, they grow with you, you're building this great relationship. Like how does that work with like the live plus the affiliate plus then this larger paid work? Like how does that all live together in 2026? Because it kind of feels like it's like we have these very segmented approaches to creator commerce and influencer marketing now. And I'm just wondering your thoughts on like, is there a place where they all live together? Do you think they're served best? I mean, it depends on the creator and the brand, and I get that, but just curious your thoughts on that.
I think it's like a timeline. I think depending on the creator, when they come in, you want to make sure it's a good relationship. If they're willing to do obviously free samples and posts, that's great. If, you have to kind of get them over the edge a little bit, pay 50 or $100, we'd recommend that for like 3 to 5 posts. But even in those early stages, you're showing them what a relationship with you can be like. So you're saying, hey, this is one creator that we worked with. They generated XYZ over the past 30 days with our team. We want you to be that next version of us, right? Yeah. As you grow, you're going to lock in higher commission tiers with our brand. We're also going to move you over to a retainer program within 30 days. There'll be opportunities to do more live streaming together, right? We can move you over to Instagram and we can run content there, and then we can give you a percentage of the ad spend. Oh, by the way, here's how much we spent on Instagram last month, and here's how much our top creator there grossed. And then they also move into more private communities as well. So there's different segmentation in a Discord or a WhatsApp group where you have your overall creator community, but then maybe you have your VIPs, right? And so they kind of understand once you've generated XYZ for a brand, you get to this level. And then once you get to, whatever, like there's ways for them to scale, and then they understand what the incentives for those are. And then you use additionally like monthly contests to kind of nurture earlier creators, give them even more opportunity than just like the free samples or like the $50 for a few posts, right? So they're incentivized as well. And then once they get to that, like I would say VIP tier, there's a lot more nurturing from like the brand founding team. And they're also becoming then ambassadors for your other creators that are coming into the program, because there is a sense of community that you develop in these creator communities.
Yeah.
This definitely makes me think about, as a creator, for the creators that you're working with, they need to really hone in on the few brands that they want to work with, because certainly they can't build a successful partnership with a mass amount of brands and get to that level. They need to choose those few things that resonate with them and their audience and go for it and do it well. Would you say, Ethan?
Yeah, totally. The creators don't want to be promoting 50 different beauty products every single day. People could see through that. I think they would much
Yeah.
rather scale with brands as well. There's more consistency there. So I think that's at a very, very relevant point.
Great. And so let's get into the brand perspective. Thank you for sharing all that, Ethan. I think, Anouck, we'd like to hear from you a little bit now from that brand side about how you look at a wrapped sampling campaign to evaluate the success of your creator partnership.
Yeah, and I think for us it's a bit maybe different from a tracking perspective because we don't have a DTC, right? We are a perishable brand. Our product, you have to go to the stores, or I mean, we do a lot on digital through Instacart or Target.com or Walmart.com, but because we're a refrigerated product that doesn't sell to the consumer, it's really a black box, and there is no we don't have the ability to do affiliate or to really to tie that creator to any type of revenue. And so everything that Ethan is talking about, I'm like, wow, would love, but for a brand like us it really doesn't apply. And I think it's really interesting, it's really important for creators that, first of all, I'll tell you from a brand perspective, I like to work with creators that acknowledge that from the get go. Like, to your point, you were saying it's so important that they choose and they're not like doing it with a lot of brands. And as a brand, you see through that when they're like, this is my model, this is my business, this is how I work. Like, at least do the work of understanding like what the brands, are capabilities are behind the scenes. Sorry, I have my little boy here. Oh,
Oh, that's okay.
my love. Um, anyways, so I would say that that's number one, and we are really looking at it more as a kind of partnership, I would say. And for us, I mean, it's really that mom that we're looking for, and we have those moms that are like these community builders, and really how do we include it in an organic way into their lifestyle, and it's not a transactional like, hey, let's put this product out, and like, how do we really really solve something for mom creator, or really that community mom that we see by us. And how does she truly benefit from our product? I think, looking at it from a brand perspective, understanding the creators and understanding what their lifestyle is, and truly seeing if you can solve something in their personal lifestyle versus their business,
Yeah.
right? I would say.
Yeah. No, I think that's amazing. And I really love that you started it off by saying this is, I mean, it is a different way of doing it, because I will say in our space for food creators, a lot of the brands they work with are in the same boat as you, where there isn't an exact way to track that. It is different than beauty, where you can see every single sale. We're, as food creators, usually driving people to the grocery store, and it's more about brand recognition, brand loyalty,
Exactly.
all of those things, seeing it in your favorite creators' daily routine in their life and solving the problems. And so it is completely different than the beauty side. They are very different. So I do appreciate that you said that. And I love that for you, it's about relationship building. That's huge. You've clearly done well. Your brand is known by everybody, and you've done a good job with that. And so I think a lot of food brands can take what you're doing and look at that and implement it. So with that, knowing that that's kind of the way you do it, and that's okay that it's different than the others where you can track it. How do you track performance of a campaign as a whole through social? Like, obviously you're not selling it, so how do you decide when to reinvest and when to move on? What would you say was the success of a campaign and wasn't? What do you
I
say?
Yeah, I mean, I think to be super transparent and honest, I think it is a learning process, right? And as everything evolves, and every month there are new things and new ways to track, and the brand evolves, the creator evolves. So it is. I don't want to say there is one answer. There is a lot of just like did we see a lift in the in our stores? We did a Valentine's Day SKU, and okay, we got 100% sell through. Great. Okay, so something worked. Now, was it the actual product? Was it the creator? So there is there isn't a one cutthroat answer, and maybe that's. But I mean, I think actually for this webinar, it's also good to know because it's it's not black and white, I would say, from a brand perspective in food that does not have the capability to track it back to revenue, cost of acquisition, right? And I think it is important for creators to understand that other side as well, right? I mean, I can tell you that for us, I mean, I personally am chatting on Instagram with some of the moms that I've met at an event at the Mom 2.0 Summit, and am engaging personally with them because we really created a relationship. And I think those are your, to what Ethan said, your VIPs. And yes, you can funnel it through a WhatsApp group, or I think for me, it's really that one-to-one relationship. And I rather have those VIP that are really, really curated, and maybe that's less scalable, but it's more intentional and impactful and real. Then I think the transaction piece of it, of like this and that, now we do some of that as well, right? We have those like, let's seed product, let's send coupons, let run your target haul and see if how that fits into your lifestyle. We do those with the micro influencers, but then I love to curate those VIP connections, and I'm like, when I see their stories on Instagram, I'm like, oh, love it, da da da, and it's just,
Yeah.
you can't fake that, I feel.
Right.
And I think it is taking that transactional out of it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think most of us have come to recognize many creators with brands. I identify certain creators with certain brands, and that's a
Exactly.
good thing. That's a great thing. And like
Yep.
you said, a lot of, for example, there was a cracker brand that just released a gluten-free version, and these gluten-free creators just were so excited that they finally had the option
Right.
that they created content on their own before they were ever paid because they were so excited about it. Then that big company came in and started paying them for content, seeing, wow, this is good stuff. And so I think that what you're doing and what you're sharing is a great reminder, especially to those in the food content creation space. It's very important. So thank you, Anouck, for sharing that. Um, Madeline, let's go off of that because you are the food creator. So let's
Yeah.
chat about how does your content differ when the goal is sales versus some of those product amplification or brand recognition that Anouck was talking about.
Yeah, this is so interesting for me. I can relate to so much of what Ethan and Anouk both said. And I actually fed my boys Belgian boys pancake bites for breakfast this morning. So I totally like relate to
Oh
your
my
story and your
God.
business.
I love it.
Yeah, my boys are 3 and 1, so like I totally related to the ball at the head
Two
situation.
boys? Two boys?
2 boys, yeah.
I have three boys.
Oh
Me
gosh.
too.
I feel you. Also
Boy
three.
club.
Oh my God! All boy mamas here.
Yeah, so I started a long time ago in 2018 doing brand partnerships. And when I started, so much of what we did was ambiguous, right? It was like, hope we sent people to the store. There's no way to track it. There wasn't even Instagram story metrics really that good yet. And now I've kind of moved into this industry where, I have a brand manager and she's running campaigns with me. And a lot of the campaigns that I'm earning with her are the bigger brands that are like, hey, we're just looking for recognition, right? We're hoping that you send people to a Target, to a Walmart to pick up this new flavor of our salad dressing. But what I'm doing a ton of on my own, not with my brand manager, is affiliate marketing with very, very clear cut metrics. And ShopMy has been a huge platform for me and other friends for brands to see our ROI so clearly. I've gotten a lot of like month to month partnerships there at a much lower rate than I would be paid if a brand came to me and said, hey, we have a full campaign for you. It might be in the thousands for my metrics, but on ShopMy, they might do a couple $100 because they can really directly see how much my audience is purchasing, directly what they've purchased. And for me as a creator, a lot of times if a brand's going to send me, $100 worth of merchandise, pay me $500 to post it plus commission on top, it's actually really easy for me because it's so low lift for me. And I think the brands doing that are people saying, hey, Madeline has posted our, let's say I work a lot with a healthier soda company. They see that I've tagged them 15 times on Instagram before. They can see and shop my directly how many clicks my stories have drawn to shop my before they say, okay, hey, let's jump in with a flat fee. So it's been huge for me, and me telling all of my friends, like, let's go after these opportunities, because not only is it an easier, a lower lift, it's also really seamless for our audience, right? A lot of the times it's the brand that I've already used a ton, and I do a lot of lifestyle content on stories, so I'm able to work with like makeup, skincare, clothing brands that I would have never worked with previously, because I'm not going to do a full in-feed campaign for these people. But on stories it can be really seamless, and they can say, hey, you did 5 times your rate, you drove 5 times sales, your rate, let's work again next month and at a slightly higher rate. um, and that's kind of similar to the TikTok shop model. But for me as a TikTok creator, I'm around like, I think a little over 200,000 followers. I've found if you've already built your audience, it's really hard to jump into TikTok shop and be a meaningful creator. So the way that Ethan is talking about, like, if you have 100 followers on TikTok, you actually may be more valuable to the TikTok shop program than like me, who's kind of like, I've already created this audience. They expect certain things from me. And every time I've done a TikTok shop video, it completely falls flat. Now, I understand TikTok has come back and said, like, you need to post about the same item 4 or 5 times for it to get traction. But as like a seasoned creator, that's really not like where my allegiance to my audience lies, if that makes sense.
Totally. You risk like eroding the trust that you've spent all this time building. And there is something to TikTok where this direct response, impulse buy is so effective. But to do 5 videos, it kind of, you know what I mean? It's like counterintuitive. And I think it's a really good point. I also think too, like how brands scale on the platform also evolves. Like you might have a brand that's just starting off on the platform, doing more seeding, doing more affiliate commissions, tracking their revenue in TikTok shop, tracking it back to D2C, right? But then as they get into retail, because the retailers now are looking for like the brands that are doing well in the social, right? As they get into retail, it becomes more of that strategy that Anouck is describing, where they want to push the traffic to the retailers, because that's really where there's like so much more velocity and also risk for them, right? Because they get on the shelves, they need to be able to sell it. So I think that's something we've also seen from a lot of food and beverage brands, is how the strategy evolves once they get traction and then start pushing into retail more.
Which I think is a
Definitely.
really great point to make, is that strategy is evolving both for creators and the brands. And like you said, Madeline, we've seen so many food creators that their whole feed is food. Everything is food. But on stories, they are making more on ShopMy by sharing their outfit than they are by sharing anything food.
Yeah.
And it's because it's bringing in that lifestyle component. But what that does is it lends then to what Anouck said, where they can bring into the food more of the everyday component of why they're enjoying that food or how they're enjoying it, which then touches on the feeling that it does come down to who they're going to choose in the grocery store is who they connect with, the brand they
And
follow.
it's all trust, right? So like if I recommended a face wash that you ended up also actually really loving, then you know that I'm not just throwing spaghetti at a wall to see if it'll stick. And then when I say, hey, I feed my boys this for breakfast, it's that same trust has already been built, but maybe it's on a lipstick before it was on pancakes, right?
Exactly, which I think is great to show the benefits of the shop my how they work well together with the food brands. So thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that, Madeline. I know Abby has a couple questions for the panel itself, so I'll let her take that over.
I think this is honestly a really great way to end this. We're going to end it with a little rapid fire, a quick question for each of you. Same question across the board, just because we're out of time, unfortunately. But it's been so cool to hear everybody's perspective. And I appreciate the call out that it still is not just like this one size fits all approach. It's not all scale numbers. You know, the science driven version of it, that there is still a lot of heart in the relationship in it. And I think that's something at Tastemaker we talk a lot about, of finding that balance between both. So I'm going to go to Ethan first. If our audience here, these brands, only remember one thing from today's conversation, what do you hope that would be?
Oh, that's tough. I would probably say at the end of the day, it would be the P&L tracker, because as much as I think people will go out there and say, well, the key to velocity is just getting the product in as many hands as you can. I think oftentimes that's coming from an agency, right? Like, I think we hear that a lot in our space. We talk to a lot of brands and they'll say, well, this agency or this person said this or that's that. I think you need to look at the economics of your brand and what your margins are, where your conversion is happening, and make smart decisions based off of that. Because at the end of the day, you could have hundreds of thousands in affiliate revenue on TikTok Shop and be losing money. And if your brand doesn't have the economics to support that, you're going to be in a tough place pretty quickly. Now, alternatively, that's not to say that that's a bad strategy. It's just more to say that you need the visibility and you need to make a smart decision around it. Because some brands come to us and they say, no, like that's what we're okay taking that risk because we have other ways that we're making money. We're backed by whatever. It's about growing velocity. And then you can shift it into profitability 6 months down the line. Right. But the worst is when you go into it too aggressive. You're not aware of the numbers. It's not a conscious decision. And that ends up in a really tricky place. So that would be my number one thing.
That's great. And I love the tension between you and Anouck, because you feel like the numbers guy, and Anouck, I feel like you're the relationship gal here. So Anouck,
No, but I think listen, you're talking to me as the brand, but if you're talking, right, like when I work with my agencies, I'm also like, where are the numbers, right? So it's like, I get it. And I mean, I think that's the answer I would like to hear from an agency too. So it makes sense, Ethan.
But Anouck, to pose this question to you, if our audience only remembers one thing from today's conversation, from your point of view, from this brand perspective, what do you hope it would be in working with creators?
I mean, for me, it's be real, be authentic, because anything that isn't, I mean, as a brand, but I would say also as a consumer, people are smart and you see through that and can invest. And if it's just for investing and like getting it, like I would go for quality and relationship over quantity.
Love it.
Same here. All right, Madeline.
I would piggyback on what Anouck said. Whether you're looking for exact numbers or driving people to stores, look for the creators who already love your product and who have trust with their audience. Because I see so many brands that I love going to these creators who I've never seen talk about the product before when I'm organically posting them on stories for years. And it is disheartening as a creator. And I think their audience can see through it. So I think brands can take a little extra time finding, and it's not that hard because if the creator is smart, they're tagging that brand organically a lot of times. So look for those organic mentions because we're doing it and we care. And I'm only mentioning brands I actually like and want to work with.
Yeah.
I love that you said that, Madeline, because it does start with simply loving them as a brand, realizing someone like Madeline who's tagging you all the time, send her an awesome PR package because she's
right. I'll post it.
She'll post it and it's going to be great. Well, thank you all so much. You panelists were amazing today. Much knowledge.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, I know we could keep talking for hours. We actually are going to be doing a brand education track at Tastemaker Conference. It's our first brand education track. We are so excited to be having incredible speakers there as well. So as a brand, we do have brand tickets and we encourage you to come. In addition to that education, you'll also get to meet our 500 to 600 of the biggest food content creators in the world, including Sally's Baking Addiction, who is our opening keynote, or Sally's Baking now. As well as many others. So we would love to get you that link if you'd like to join us as a brand at Tastemaker Conference, our 10th anniversary. To close, again, just thank you so much for you panelists for being here. We appreciate you, Ethan, Madeline, Anouck. You are all so wonderful. You can find each of them in these places. Ethan on LinkedIn at Ethan Z. Kramer. Madeline at madaboutfood.co, and Anouck on LinkedIn at Anouck-Gotlib. And we will go ahead and link all of that in the show notes. Again, thank you. We'd love to chat. If you're a brand that's interested in coming to Tastemaker and connecting with the biggest food content creators in the world, please schedule a meeting. I'd love to chat with you, and we hope to see you all next time. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.